information that has been shared. So this topic is really all about how media dollars are shifting from traditional to digital. But before we start, quick background on myself. I started in traditional media. I'll say back in '84. I was with, yeah, you guys need to chat outside, thank you. We got a teacher in the room. You're gonna go to the timeout chair.
Face the corner.
Face the corner. So I did the whole media thing, was a CMO at one of the telecoms after divestiture from AT&T, and decided to go digital. I went digital early on.
I would just hold it like this.
I will just hold it like this. I was thinking, seriously, I woke up this morning, I'm like, okay, my voice is like 2 octaves lower after yelling across the table at dinner. It was such a great conversation, and I wanted to make sure, whatever I was saying, 'cause I had to put my cheerleader voice on, and I'm still a little low. So anyway, started out on the traditional media side, so signing media authorization forms, on that side of the table, making TV spots and direct mail and all that. And I moved over into digital as it was just starting. So literally launched the first one of, I think it was the second Prodigy ad when Sears owned Prodigy, and literally the people were computerized, the faces, in the ad, and we were launching a home office consulting channel. So I started there, and then from there went into email when that was hot, worked in San Francisco for a company there, and then I've just continued on the digital path and became a geek writing HTML code for SEO and paid search, had my own agency for a while, and now have been with GroupM almost 5 years, and I'm now heading up their search and social client development and business development efforts. So fast story on me, and I'm going to go down the line here and let you guys introduce yourselves.
Great. So, hey, I'm Josh Kruter. I oversee the digital product portfolio for Clear Channel Outdoor, and that's both our digital screens from roadside billboards across the country to Times Square to transit that reach a little over 100 million people a month in North America. And then also the digital capabilities we put around any of our inventory, including the traditional, to amplify it, whether that's mobile retargeting or also using various data layers to understand the audiences and the behaviors around that. And like LuRae, I would just say quickly, started my career at the intersection of traditional and digital at Forbes, thinking about both the magazine and helping launch Forbes.com. And then have sort of stayed on both of those tracks simultaneously at various stops, including a few places client side before landing here.
Mike Flaminio, I'm with the Daily News. I came to the Daily News 3 years ago to help transform into the digital world. But prior to that, I spent 15 years with the telecom in the yellow page industry, and helped transform a print business into a digital business, and you've probably heard of superpages.com. So I helped launch that and been involved with digital ever since. With the Daily News, what we've done is I'm working on everything outside of the Daily News world. So we're building websites, mobile sites, SEM, SEO, social media, reputation management, the list goes on.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Lim. I am the head of paid search at MEC for North America. I started in traditional as well. I was a spot TV buyer as well as radio and cable, and I don't think they do that anymore. But, after about 4 years in that, I went into search, started at a startup. I think I was the 11th hire, and it was during a time where there was no tracking. It was cost per click, just get traffic to the site. And, sometimes I wish we were back in those days because now everyone's questioning everything. But, never look back. I'm so glad I made this choice and actually work with LuRae, part of the GroupM family. So that's it.
Hi, all 10 of you. I'm Andy Markowitz. And
but we love that you're here. Thank you.
Yeah, I do. And so we're going to make this interactive. So I'm the general manager of Performance Marketing Labs at GE. I don't know what that means. We're making it up as we go. I'm 900 years old. I started in analog, and now I'm digital. I was at a dot-com startup for, back in the day, right? Back in the day. I was at Kraft Foods for 10 years, leading digital services, and now I'm at GE, leading what we call a performance marketing lab. And since you guys have made it this far, you all get $10,000 in free media from the Daily News. All right? So congratulations. This
I
is gonna
might be able
fun.
to
All right?
swing a deal too, if
Okay.
anybody has any social needs or search.
All right. So, yeah, that's it. Okay.
And then we'll take those paid tweets and put them on billboards, and we've just
Exactly,
integrated our
we've
media here,
integrated
people.
it perfectly. Okay. Right, exactly. Okay, so a few questions here, and honestly, if any of you have questions that we don't address, I mean, I'm open to you, raising your hands, and, I mean, this is a very small group.
Yeah, I have no filter. If you, so I encourage, ask a question. I have no filter. I'll curse. I'll do anything you want.
I've got a
But, so ask
special
questions.
question for you at the end, yeah, okay. Okay, so one of the first, just obvious topics, and questions to ask is, what has the shift looked like in your experiences, whether at your current role or former role, as we've moved from traditional to digital? Like, what has that looked like? And what's been the impact?
All right, great. So I guess I'll start with me. So for out of home, which is one of the oldest line media businesses there is, for us, what we've seen in, especially in the couple years I've been on this side of the iHeartMedia house and out of home, and then, thinking back to past roles on the client side as a buyer, digital's led to a net expansion of the opportunity for out of home. We're now in a place where we're powerfully in the media conversation, both with national clients like Coca-Cola, local clients like something we just completed for Delta Dental of Minneapolis, where at each of those levels you have people now looking, going, my standard out-of-home buy is the above-the-line awareness, where you can take digital and use that to modify your content in real time, modify your content, expand your content with dynamic content triggers, bring in social, we've opened up our APIs, and otherwise add that dynamic layer to give that real-time responsiveness. And to put it in context, so Magna Global for 2014, as they looked at the out-of-home industry in North America, digital alone across myself and our peers in terms of measured digital and out-of-home was over $1 billion a year business. So that's pretty healthy for something that didn't exist in this industry a decade ago.
Well, for me, it's more like Groundhog Day. I worked for a Yellow Page company that said, we need to transform to digital because there may not be a phone book tomorrow. And now I'm in a newspaper world saying we have to transform to digital because there may not be a newspaper in a few years, right? So what made us unique is you can only sell so much traffic. While the Daily News does drive 40 million uniques every month, we have 200 million plus page views, and those numbers are really great, making us one of the largest newspaper sites in the US. The problem is that traffic does run out. So what else are you selling? Is that going to be our revenue? Is that going to be it? So when we started the digital solutions department at Daily News, mainly it was for the fact of what can we sell outside of the Daily News? A lot of people with us always think that we're this local New York brand, which we are, been around for 95 years, but what they don't realize is a lot of our traffic that comes in is coming from outside of New York. So by tying in people like Facebook and vendors, different types of social media vendors or SEM vendors and Google, Yahoo, Bing, so on and so forth, and backlinking those folks back to our website gave us a whole new revenue stream. So that's been taken very well in the streets. We started out focused on really small to medium-sized businesses, okay, and that was successful. And then we now, took that to the next level and say, okay, how do we do this for the larger customers who we have a great relationship with? They need our help. So it's amazing, no matter how big or how small a business is, there's always a need, right? And even we'll talk about April 21st, Google announced a big algorithm change with their mobile sites. You couldn't imagine how many people still don't have mobile optimized websites today, right?
I can. I'll guarantee you I can.
I guess in my purview is from the agency world. So we have a lot of different clients, and the amount of money that they spend in traditional versus digital is atrocious. It's appalling. And I have seen over the past few years a shift in more digital spend, but the sad thing is it's not more money or new money that advertisers are putting in. It's just basically taking TV dollars or traditional media dollars and putting it into digital. And I think it's a wise move at the start, but there's definitely opportunity to invest more. Internally at our company, we made a decision, and I think they called it the seismic shift, where we made a stance saying that clients need to invest or account leads need to convince their clients to invest at least additional 10% minimum more per year in digital. So it's been an interesting ride. I just can't wait to see what happens next.
So I have 17 minutes and 49 seconds to answer this question. All right. So a couple things. So first, we don't look at digital as an entitlement play inside of GE. We look at digital as a means to an end, right? Which is how do you solve a particular business problem? In one case, it could be around awareness, it could be around direct response, it could be whatever it is. And when we look at our overall marketing mix, we have a strategy. And the strategy is we don't spend like IBM. We don't spend like other businesses. How do you shout louder than you spend? And the currency that you create is in the context of the value proposition of the content, the value proposition of the ad, and whatever it is. So number one, the pretext of display as a mechanism to turn on impressions for me is, where a lot of people are, but seems, very kind of antiquated given what digital should be and where we should be headed as marketers, which should be about driving permissions and relationships and doing all those things so you can collect data and whatnot. Outside of that, what's changed is that the journey now exists online for customers. And the first time around before the bubble went boom, right, there was no proof points to be had. But now there are entire digital businesses that are running multi-millions of dollars and and more off the back of digital as a performance mechanism. And I think that's what's changed between now and then, and what will continue to drive dollars in is that the more you can prove that digital can drive revenue, and that's great. And for offline companies, the crack pipe of Nielsen and whatever else that exists, that stuff is going to have to start to evolve so that they can start to see what the customer journey looks like as well. Right.
One of the points you just made, which we tell our customers all the time, is that you have to have your goal in mind. I mean, what's the story you want to tell? And I love, for example, how GE uses content. And you don't do it just to do it. And you're thinking about how do these digital screens, whether they're larger to smaller to personal, actually take people on a journey in a world where the funnel's exploded.
Yeah, I'm not responsible for any of that. So, but we have smart people that
Take
are.
full credit, Andy. Yeah.
But the funnel exploding, we'll blame the Daily News. It's cool.
I'll take blame for everything, don't worry about it.
So I think that's really interesting, right? And I think that's probably the greatest, it touches on, it crystallizes the change in digital. So it used to be awareness, purchase. And now, because of digital, and in particular social, everyone's got a different pipe, right? They've got a different funnel. All funnels are completely unique, and therefore customization and the data behind the customization and the personalization is really critical.
I mean, when you think about it, and I almost thought it was a little bit evil that then everyone is starting to have a different experience on Google. None of us. It used to be we all saw the same thing. Now none of us do. It's like we're all on our own. Well, it's just like we all see our own reality, right? So they've now created that as well. So we used to see the same. This is really dated. Sears and Roebuck. Now I don't even think they're online, but say J.C. Penney. You go to J.C. Penney, you're gonna you search for J.C. Penney. Now you're gonna see them and all their God knows.
It's like Tinder for content.
Yep, Tinder for content. That carousel. Yep, exactly. So anyway, so interesting kind of add-on question to that is, what has the shift from traditional to digital done to the organizational dynamics that go on with whether structure or roles and responsibilities, and how has that played out?
Well, so look, from our business, it's one of those where, hey, a digital product role didn't exist 2 years ago. I mean, 18 months to 2 years ago, we hired our first CIO, and we've seen what I'd say other digital businesses had the transformation maybe 10 years ago, where you go from, even though out of home, ultimately the campaigns have to come to life in markets reaching certain people, the centralization of an ad ops function and how you leverage technology. I mean, I guarantee you 5 years ago inside the walls of our business, there were not as many conversations, if any, about APIs like we've had in the last year. and tapping that data to bring campaigns to life and to automate the flow of campaigns with knowledge and insight, that's been a sea change for us. And hey, we're behind in that, but that's how we're catching up.
With us, we brought in an EVP for all digital daily news editorial advertising across the whole platform. And we literally looked at the entire staff. And if somebody was print-centric and the only thing they knew was print, we knew that needed a change. And, those are hard times to go through because there's a lot of good people with a lot of good relationships. But at the end of the day, we really wanted to merge. We started out with a digital team and a print team. And we basically told the print people, any digital referrals you have, give it to the digital guys. And the digital guys, if any print referrals, go that way. And what that just basically did is everybody put up their guard and became like adversarial to each other, right? Nobody wants to give up their leads because, hey, I'm going to lose my recurring print business to give it to the digital guy. No, that's not going to work. So we tried that for a short period, very short period. Then we brought that all together and said, you know what? We need to look at our staff and they need to be able to do it all. Right? They need to be able to sell print and digital. But like Charlotte mentioned earlier, now we get caught up in a world where everyone wants to talk about stats all day and less about sales. What's this bringing me? How many, what's the conversion on that? How many leads did I get? How many phone calls did I get? What's the CTR on this? What's the CTR on that? Why should I do display? Why should I do SEM? So on and so forth. But it becomes very challenging. So really restructuring our ad ops as well to be able to provide that data, by the moment's notice, because you get a salesperson that goes out and makes a sale. 3 minutes after the sale's made, the customer already wants to know how it's performing. And if you don't get him the answer right away, you're automatically getting emails saying, I want out. I mean, it's that quick of a decision. So
I'm the one that says, I want out.
There you go.
You mean you're not taking the time to let a campaign optimize?
Right.
No, I'm kidding.
It's been up for 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Come on now,
no one
how many
clicked
clicks
yet.
do I
Yeah,
have?
right.
Yeah. How many likes did I get on my Facebook? It's only started 2 seconds ago.
Well, it depends if you were bidding in Russia or the United States.
Absolutely. Well, that's a big obstacle. Funny you say that because there's plenty of times we build out campaigns on Facebook or any social site, and we're delivering a certain type of result, but then they try to do it in-house, and they blanket worldwide, and they realize, oh, wait a second, I spent 50% of the money, and I got the same results. Why should I pay you? And then you look at where the hits are coming from, and it's like, well,
Lithuania.
do you want local or do you want Bangladesh? And both are fine, but you have to be able to service Bangladesh, right? And it's not your local marketplace. So not everybody thinks they know how to do it, but they don't.
I mean, for us, the challenge has been search itself is a very specialty within the digital marketing atmosphere or stratosphere, and it's very, very hard to find good talent. And once you've invested in them and trained them, then they get poached. So what we're finding is that the companies investing in talent, the investments are not realized because within 6 months to a year, they're gone. Just for 10,000 more in different title. I know people that started under my team after a year, they're a VP somewhere. So it's very hard to retain good talent. That's been one of the challenges with the shift to digital. But also for me internally, it's education that's lacking within the account leads, because the account leads are the ones that are talking to the clients and selling this media mix, this plan. And if they can't sell it and they don't know it, then the client won't buy into it. So that's been a big challenge. But when they do get it, it can mean the difference between like a 2% buy versus a 50% buy. Just to give you an example, we had a client that spends about $200 million a year on TV, just pure TV spots. And on search, they spend 1.5% of that budget. Their site was just awful. I mean, flash galore. I mean, no title tags or anything, just basic. So we're like, okay, just for basic SEO, just give us $80,000 to fix your SEO. Just let's pretty it up a little bit, because you don't want to send traffic to an ugly house. 80,000 was like 0.00004% of their budget, and they're like, sorry, we don't have the budget for it. But luckily we had it in with the account lead, and she's like, shit, we're gonna cancel 2 GRPs. There you go. So that's the difference between like your account lead being educated versus somebody being like, I don't know what you're talking about. So.
So I think what you kind of all hit on is you're either a buyer or you're a spectator, and buying leads to more people coming to you with ideas. Buying leads to learning, and understanding that your customers or your consumers are online and are available. Anything else is a check the box mentality, right? Do you have a website? Check. Do you have email? Check. And there is a strategy void that exists in many C-suites around digital, and that's a problem. So at GE, we are incredibly lucky because we are buoyed by a CMO that not only wants us to do it, but lives it herself and expects it and breathes it and practices it, and that spreads down. And when you see that through the organization, the first year when we did a digital get-together of GE employees, there were 35 people that got together of a company of our size. And last year when we got together, there were 300 people that got together in New York globally. So, when you practice, people see it. Call it a shiny object, call it what you will, call it whatever you get there. If it routinizes behavior, if it changes the culture, then that stuff is good. And when you can show people something that they want, a lot of people buy tactics, and that's okay. But we're always talking about the same thing. You're a buyer or you're a spectator. And if you're a spectator and checking the box, then there will be no GRPs moved into SEO. Right? So the biggest change organizationally has been when your company moves to being a buyer, money comes in, ideas come in, people's skills transform. I'm 900 years old, and I am not the smartest guy in the room, and I learned digital. And if I can learn digital, anyone can learn digital.
You're a dinosaur that's become
I'm a dinosaur.
something.
Jurassic
else.
GE guy.
Jurassic G. Okay, so I know we have 6 minutes left. The final
And
question.
15 seconds.
And 15 seconds, 14 now. So the final question would be, how are you seeing, because of the shift in digital, your consumers or end users interacting differently with you and their expectations being different than they were a year ago, 5 years ago, however long?
So I'll go. So in the B2B world, our customers would never be online, right? I mean, that's what we heard. I mean, we're in very specific niche businesses. And we have invested a lot in a marketing automation platform. The company's called Marketo. They're a very good partner for us. And I'm talking the minute we turned this stuff on, we started seeing results. And those results translated into pipeline and opportunities for us, and ultimately wins. And when people start to see that there are actually closed loop transactions, or at least hybrid transactions that involve those customers, like that was kind of a turnkey moment for us when we were able to show accountability. And so my closing thought on that would be is that some people would say that because of the plethora and number of companies that have come in and all the different technologies, that it's called the golden age of marketing. And I say it's not the golden age of marketing; it's the golden age of accountability, right? And once you make this stuff accountable, then everything kind of turns on its head, and that's what it is. It's not about the impression. Forgive me, it's about what happens after the click, right? So, okay.
So,
That's a question. Sorry, this question's for you actually.
Yeah.
So, I actually work, we have a lot of GE vendors. We work in the industrial side, and we do distribution. Oh, thank you. We work in distribution, and so do you notice that the advertisements that you guys use are, I guess the effects are multiplied by having an e-commerce option as well?
So it's a really good question, and I'm going to find the right way to say this without getting in trouble. So e-commerce is very important for us, and we are probably fairly nascent in that regard in the context of seeing what we can do with it. So we actually do quite a bit of e-commerce, but we have not yet promoted it in a way I think that will show us what the full impact of it is. We've done well with leads, lead nurturing, lead management, lead scoring, all that stuff, identifying new leads. That stuff we're starting, and now e-commerce is kind of the next piece that we're getting on with. I think that'll be a proof point for us in 2015.
Do you think that, do you think that, especially in the heavy industry, that e-commerce is something that...
Every benchmark we've seen indicates 25 to 50% of a B2B company's revenue should be e-commerce. Now, I don't yet see where we're going to sell a jet engine online, but there are Waukesha gas turbine engines online for sale on eBay from distributors, right? So one day someone's going to plop down $2.5 million for a Waukesha gas engine, and I'm going to wear that as a T-shirt for around GE for a long time. It's going to happen. It's only a matter of time, and especially in emerging markets where you don't have access to a lot of information, people do all the research online, and they get all that stuff available ahead of time. So yeah, completely.
Absolutely. Consumers are researching online. They want what they want, when they want it, where they want it. They want everything real time. And that empowers them. Technology has empowered them to demand more from the brands. And we've seen that across the board. Especially like leveraging like social and local data. There's an opportunity there that brands can actually really take and figure out what their emotional intent is, the consumer's emotional intent, and create like a two-way dialogue with them that really, helps engage them as opposed to the one-way dialogue of traditional media. So, we've seen a huge change, but it's a great change to have.
Right. And with all the tracking that is in place, as we talk about it as a necessary evil, customers are seeing results. And even though they are seeing results, they still don't want to tell you that they're seeing results because that means that they have to spend more money with you. That's the immediate perception. If I tell you it works great, you're going to ask me for more money. And I'm going to ask you for more money even if you tell me it sucks. So that's just the way I am.
Spoken like a salesman.
Right? So at the end of the day, what we're succeeding at is really putting in a constant reminder. One of the things that I've told my team right from the beginning is that we are going to over-communicate. We're not just going to be, somebody that automates something and we send them a report once a week or once a month. I want you to watch an account. I want you to pick up the phone and say, hey, Joe, do you notice that you got 2 phone calls this morning? Did you get back to them yet? That way the consumer, or the business knows that we're paying attention. And if we're paying attention and they weren't, at least it shows that we care. And that's what we're doing to differentiate ourselves from, because there's a whole bunch of, especially on the small to medium-sized business side, there's a whole bunch of IYPs or, SEM companies, SEO companies, people working out of their garage who say they're internet companies. So it's really that customer service and making sure that they feel like you're always there, holding their hand through the entire process until the point that they get, they understand and they'll tell you, I got it. You don't have to keep calling me every 3 days, right? And it's setting up that right expectation right from the beginning and telling them, listen, I am going to over-communicate. I'm going to communicate till you get sick of me. But at that point, don't get upset. Just let me know. And I'll back off a little bit. And I'll back off little by little by little. But the more that we show that we're partnering with these folks is really what's going to drive a different result.
So super quick, since you over-communicated right to zero.
I did that on purpose.
That was well played. But look, in terms of what they're saying, I agree. So as we think about ourselves, as the B2B2C ultimately, right, of screens that reach people, the fact that you have digital screens that change as people tweet, and their Instagram photo from Coke shows up on a screen, and their name in Coke script, and Delta Dental lets you put your smile on a board and uses real people to convey a message. That signals to consumers, I can interact with this and it's relevant to me. And being able to do that has gotten our clients, so the B2B side of it, to start to see us less as just a static medium and more a place where the physical and the digital can intersect in a space reaching real people. And whichever of the platforms we touch, I think that's a big takeaway of how these worlds are merging and changing, and that's powerful.
So thank you all. Time's up.